It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Bruce Kuntz. Matthew Moreno hopping in with us in a little bit is the plan, but it is not good news for the Dodgers. Swept by the Pirates, another dismal showing by the Dodgers. Offense, pitching, I would say not good enough, but the divisional lead down to 2. Despite how bad the Padres have been, Bruce, the divisional lead is down to 2, but the only thing the Dodgers should be worrying about right now is themselves.
Yeah, the Dodgers and Padres right now feel like they're in a competition for who can play worse over this last little bit. The Padres have had a lot of things go wrong, and the Dodgers have had even more things go wrong. It's really bad times right now, and this it feels as bad as it has all year, really. And there was a really bad stretch where it seemed like things were starting to turn around when they originally swept the Padres at home a couple of weeks ago. It seemed like, okay, maybe they're finding their stride again, and now we're right back to where this team seems completely lost.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And look, they put up a little bit of a fight at the end. They scored 3 runs in the 9th after a Mookie Betts home run. Conforto, Rojas, Teoscar all get some base hits. Unfortunately, Ben Rortvedt, I believe is the name there. Hopefully a name I don't have to become too familiar with. Had one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen in my life to end this game with the tying run on base for the Dodgers. But again, you put yourself in that position when you go down 5 runs to the Pirates and put your own back against the wall. It's nice to see them rally a tiny bit, but not nearly good enough, not nearly close enough for the Dodgers. Again, swept by the Pirates. No back-to-back shutouts, which was in jeopardy there. Steven Nelson had the stat that it had been since like 1930 or whatever the number was, and then Mookie hits a home run. So we avoided that, I guess, but that is the smallest of small silver linings. Let's get to some super chats here. Grayson says, Dalton Rushing, pinch hit for in that spot for that guy. Ouch. That move made less than 0 sense. One note of correction is Rushing actually was pulled from the game in the half inning prior. So Rortvedt came in and caught the bottom of the 8th before the top of the 9th. So it was not a direct pinch hit spot. And Bruce, I imagine this is one Dave Roberts wishes he could have had back. If he had penciled in the math and realized that a rally might get to Rushing with 2 outs and 2 runners on, I can't imagine he would have pulled him. But for whatever reason, Rushing had a really bad game defensively tonight. But for whatever reason, it was not a pinch hit decision. It was a defensive sub in the 8th.
Yeah, this decision clearly wasn't made with Dave Roberts thinking that Rortvedt could possibly go up there and have any sort of important at-bat in the 9th inning. And yeah, I'm sure he wishes he could have it back. It felt like a little bit of a weird move to make in the 8th inning. It's not like that 1 inning on the bench for Rushing would really make much of a difference in terms of rest to be able to play the rest of this weekend or anything like that, or moving forward this week. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird move, and I'm sure Roberts wishes he could do it over again.
And again, if I'm trying to figure out why Dalton Rushing, 2 wild pitches from Blake Snell, I believe there was another passed ball in there. At least one of those 2 wild pitches was most definitely Dalton Rushing's fault. It just didn't get scored that way. And so he was not good defensively. However, to your point, I imagine Dave is like, well, let's just get this Rortvedt guy in the game because who knows how long he's going to be here. We'll talk Will Smith injury update. But man, it's a tough one. And I'm going to make a full confession on this show, Bruce. I've already texted this to Matthew Moreno, so I feel like it's a safe space. That was the first time I was like, I think I'd rather have Austin Barnes here. I think we've reached a level where Ben Rortvedt, after watching strike 1 and 2, and then swinging at a breaking ball that may have bounced in front of the plate, not entirely sure. I think that was the moment that I said, we've crossed the Austin, but not the Mendoza line, the Austin Barnes line. Rortvedt is below that line for me.
Yeah, that at bat couldn't have been any uglier. He just got pieced. It was a good morning, good afternoon, good night of the highest degree. It didn't look like he had a chance at any point. So I don't want to just dog all over Ben Rortvedt, but he's not the guy you want up there by any stretch of the imagination. He's not a guy that you want up in the big leagues in a big spot ever for the rest of the season. So you just got to hope Will Smith is going to be okay, because that's the only reason they were put in this spot in the first place.
Yeah. I agree. We've got another super chat here from Bacon Tree. We appreciate the super chat. It's got some language in it that we are not going to put on the screen. But I will summarize. Said, pathetic team. Dave with one of the most brain dead moves to rob the team of any chance to not get punched in the face by putting in who again. So Rortvedt is being critiqued here. And I think it's fair. Like, we could sit here and say, like, well, what were the odds that Rortvedt was going to come up? Low, but like there were odds. And I think you make the right point, Bruce, which is why? Like, what are you benefiting by putting him in the game? Maybe it's a nice guy move to let him get into the game, to let him put on a Dodgers uniform and play for the Dodgers. But like, I'm really sorry. 5-0 with a chance to potentially come back. Like, I can't have that. And that's where it ended up. So I try and be protective. I think Dave is incredibly good at his job, gets way more flack than he deserves. But tonight's one where I guarantee he's going to wish he could have done this differently.
The only thing that I can possibly think of is if Rortvedt's going to have to get a start this weekend, and Roberts wanted him in there to, I don't know, feel the Dodger catcher's gear like that. It's just not a move that has a huge benefit. So there was a, ever small chance that the Dodgers are going to go up and get themselves a rally. And that's exactly what happened. So obviously there wasn't a huge likelihood that it was going to burn him like it did, but it was a possibility. So I just would be interested to hear what the thought process was and what exactly was the intended benefit behind that move. I still don't think that's the big story from tonight. Like, that's how it ended, and it obviously doesn't look good. But the main thing is that the Dodgers put themselves in a spot where they were behind by as much as they were, to where Roberts could think that the game was already over and make that move in the first place.
Yeah. Rortvedt was the 8th hitter to come to the plate. So again, if we're trying to guess, so often I feel like what I try and do is not defend what Dave Roberts does or defend a decision the Dodgers are making. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I'm just trying to answer the question of why. And I'm not telling you I agree with it, because I hate it in this case. But I bet what Dave Roberts was thinking was, this guy's going to bat 8th. It hasn't been Dalton's best night behind the plate. We're down 5-0. Let this guy get into a game. I don't agree with any of that. And unfortunately, that's the way that it played out. 300. This is what a talented team playing piss poor looks like. I think it's fair. And I think the pitching's been good. Like, I think we probably need to be kind to the pitching staff. I think Steven Nelson had the stat that it's the best ERA for any pitching staff over the last month and a half. But man, oh man, the offense. I mean, they end up with 4 hits in the 9th inning, which means they had just 4 hits in the first 8 innings. Prior to that, obviously they did not score a run at any point in the first 8 innings, a day after being shut out, and the day before not scoring very many runs either. So Carlos asking, honest opinion, will the Dodgers repeat? Bruce, the math says say no, because there is a 70% chance for any team to not repeat at best. But how are we feeling about the Dodgers today?
Yeah, this isn't like you just said, it's not a cut and dry answer. The Dodgers still have a theoretical chance to repeat, because they'll be in the playoffs, and that's the most they can do right now. But this team certainly does not have me feeling confident, because it's been a long time now through this season that everybody in the chat, everybody watching knows that you and I, Jeff, have been the, attempted optimists through a lot of this struggle. But to see them, like I said at the beginning of the show, they had the sweep of the Padres in LA, where it felt like things were starting to turn around. The pitching staff has turned around. Like, it hasn't been a pitching staff problem. And for a while there, it felt like the bullpen was the thing that would drag this team down. And now it's just the offense is gone. And when I look at the bats that are struggling, it's Teoscar Hernandez, it's Michael Conforto. It's guys that have been struggling for a long enough time. It's guys that when you look at the underlying metrics, you look at what they're doing, there isn't necessarily an obvious reason to think it's going to turn around right away. And then there's also not really any alternative. It's not like the Dodgers can bench Teoscar Hernandez. You can say maybe they could bench Conforto, but Teoscar, you can't just put him on the bench. The team is built around Teoscar Hernandez being a really good hitter, and that's not happening. So that's something that is really tough to fix, and certainly has me concerned.
Yeah, and again, I think the Dodgers, when you look around, they've thrown darts. at various places, whether it's Alex Call, whether it's Alex Freeland coming up. He was optioned today, whether it's Hyeseong Kim, and just sort of Kike Hernandez crossing their fingers that can we get production from one of these four players? And right now, I would say they're 0 for 4. And Michael Conforto makes 0 for 5. And unfortunately, Teoscar Hernandez probably 0 for 6, although I guess those two guys had some hits tonight, which I guess is a slight positive if you're looking for it. So, Carlos, to your question, look, I try not to get caught up in the micro when it comes to this. I'm not like my view on if the Dodgers were going to win the World Series has not changed in the last 4 hours based on the game that I just watched. However, I am fully aware of the skepticism, the reasons for the skepticism. I would like to see the Dodgers do it and put together a run before they make it to the postseason. And so I'm not going to be as confident in this team as I was, 3 months ago when the season was just starting and the Dodgers were kind of like the prohibitive favorites, although they are still the favorites in most places. But again, I'm just going to continue to hold on to. Most of the time I talk about the randomness of the MLB playoffs working against the Dodgers. Maybe this is the year, Bruce, that it works in their favor. And it's like, well, hey, if crappy teams beat good teams in the postseason, maybe the Dodgers at some point will be the crappy team that beats a good team in the postseason. We'll see. The runner on second says, team is so bad I started watching tennis instead. Man, I mean, one of my sports takes, I don't know if it's a hot take. In some circles it is. Can't stand tennis. The only sport that I can't watch. So apologies to tennis fans. That's a low point for me, runner on second. I think I would have gladly stuck around for the end of this Dodgers game. Cole said Rushing has played a whopping 43 games this year. He's tired. We will see what the reason is. Actually, okay, we just got an update. Our guy Matthew Moreno passing on some notes. This is from Jack Harris. Dave Roberts said he was trying to get Rushing off his feet, giving the workload he has ahead. Obviously, he would not have made the switch if he knew Rushing's spot would come back up in the ninth inning. Fabian Ardaya added that Will Smith won't play this weekend, but based off the CT scan today, they don't anticipate him needing to go on the injured list. So there you go. Basically, Dave Roberts saying, hey, Dalton Rushing's going to be playing every single day for the next 3 or 4 days. And so we wanted to get him off his feet. I'm going to be honest, Bruce, I hate that answer. I actually absolutely despise that answer because you made the right point. Okay, Dave, congrats. We saved him. Let's see. How did the bottom of the eighth go? Pop out, ground out, strikeout. Those are the three batters that Dalton Rushing was off of his feet for, Bruce.
Yeah, it doesn't make a big difference, and this is where I agree with you that I don't. That was the only reason that made sense. So, like you were saying earlier, that's the why, but it doesn't mean that I agree with it at all. Because even for that slight chance that the team were to put together a rally and that spot comes back up, you can also forecast it and say, when the Dodgers are down 5-0, if there was any way that the game was going to be competitive, right, then that would be that spot that probably would wind up coming up in a big moment. And that's exactly what happened. So even though like in that bottom of the eighth, you're probably not thinking that that's a likely thing to happen. It's like getting Rushing off his feet for 3 outs isn't really going to benefit you that much. Dalton Rushing's a young guy. He's been playing less than half the time all year anyway. Like I think he can handle a weekend when the team is, struggling as bad as it is right now. If there's any slight chance to keep things possible, then I'm doing it that way.
Yeah, he's a young kid. Like, just out of curiosity, if they had made this decision in the 6th inning, they're down 5-0. Like, does that make you feel any better or no?
Not really with a 5-0 score, because like that still is not a game over. If it was like 13-0 in the 6th inning, then sure, I don't care. But with 5-0, regardless if you're in the 8th inning or earlier is even worse, actually, if it's a 5-0 score, because then there's even more chance to get back into the game and then wind up with this situation. So 5-0 is not a game that it would be like a all-time record comeback. So I'm not going to say that you should pretend the game is over when the only benefit is 3 outs off your feet.
Yeah. Matthew Moreno hopping in to join us here. Matt, you passed along the note from Jack Harris as to why I apologize to this guy. I'm going to butcher his name for the rest. Rortvedt. We both, Bruce and I, guessed the why. Like, we guessed this is what they are going to say. Kudos to Dave, I guess, for saying probably not a good decision, admitting that. But I just can't get there on why this makes sense. To Bruce's point, you're down 5, he's up 8th. You think you're going to score 5 runs in less than 8 batters? Like, you're going to need to get to the 8th batter to get to 5 runs. So I hate it.
Yeah, I've gone through sort of, and it's been a condensed amount of time because the game, like, obviously, if you're listening to this in the podcast, then a little bit more time has passed. But for us doing this live, like, the game hasn't ended that long ago. I'm going to be 100% honest. I thought at first that I'm just going to call him Ben because I will, like, completely ruin his last name. I thought he pinch hit for rushing.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that he had entered in the bottom of the 8th as a defensive replacement. So I look up and I see him back because obviously, like, I'm kind of reworking my recap and, like, okay, like, the Dodgers sort of coming back. Like,
starts rally. We start punching that into the headline. I like it.
Yes, that's the lead, and I had to take out information I had on back-to-back shutouts and stuff like that. So I'm reworking things. I look up and I see him batting, and I'm like, wait, like, is he pinch hitting for Dalton rushing right? Like, what? I was ready to come on the show and say, look, like, usually I understand Dave Roberts has reasons behind his decisions. This one was. So then I realized, oh, he entered as a defensive replacement. So it's kind of like, okay, like, calm down, basically. I could, and like you guys, like, I could have predicted that was, like, he's looking at the 5-0 score, not out of hand, certainly. But like, having been around Dave Roberts, he's going to say, looking at our at-bats throughout the night, the way things were going, blah, blah, blah. But I think I still do circle back to where you guys are. Look, like, fine, like, you want to sort of manage Dalton Rushing's workload right now, but, like, it was 1 inning.
Yeah, it's like 15
and some of that for us is a little bit of benefit of hindsight, right? Because if the 8th inning, like, for whatever, if the Pirates score 8 runs in the 8th inning, then that becomes a long 1 inning for Dalton Rushing. Even then, I'm going to push back. Like, he's a young kid. This is his first season up. It's 1 inning, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes. It's 1 inning. I think he will live. And yes, like, on the off chance the Dodgers were to start to rally, which we did see, you're going to want his bat. Like, it's not going from, hey, we took out Will Smith in the 8th inning and Dalton Rushing is there, and he's still, a little bit of a thumper, or Austin Barnes is around. He's going to give you a professional at bat, line one into left field. Jeff, you have your new resolution, so you can't say anything to refute me now about Austin Barnes.
Well, I just said we figured out where the Austin Barnes line was. It's the new Mendoza line, and Ben is below it. Ben is below. He's the first player, I'm going to be honest, first guy that the Dodgers have brought up who is below the Austin Barnes line, but we did find one. So I made that confession to you privately. I've made it here publicly as well.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I mean, look, like, that was a very long-winded way of saying, like, I don't agree with it. I think if the Dodgers are up 10 games in the NL West and have a top 1 or 2 seed in the National League right now, all but, like, officially wrapped up, and you're not about to get swept, even if all that other stuff held true and you're about to get swept by the Pirates and you want to give Rushing 1 inning, fine. That's not their reality right now. And our staff has very much been, hey, it's a long season, things can change, this and that. Well, all of us now admittedly are saying, hey guys, like, it's September. Like, we kind of expected them to kick it into gear by this point.
300 says, to be honest, not sure Rushing would have been done better than Ben. Bruce, I think we all agree Rushing would have been better than Ben based on both track record and at bat quality. I do think there is a small pushback here that is appropriate, where we can at least acknowledge that Dalton Rushing is not Will Smith. Dalton Rushing is a guy whose batting average, I believe, still starts with a 1 and who strikes out 40% of the time. So there is no guarantee it would have been better. However, this is like my degrees thing. Yes, 199 is really, really bad. It is a hell of a lot better than whatever Ben just did. Like, that's a 1 in 5 chance that Ben did not have of getting hit.
Right. Just because you're not sending up the all-star doesn't mean that you can't still have a better player go up there. And Dalton Rushing is a better hitter than Ben Rortvedt. Anybody in baseball would agree with that. And Rushing is still in the kind of place for me, and I'm sure for the Dodger organization, that the stats don't completely tell the story of how talented of a hitter he is. Like, it wasn't that long ago that he's still, the top prospect in the system. And I know some people don't, want to believe in all that translating, but Dalton Rushing's going to go up there and take an at-bat, and he can run into one, he can take a professional at-bat. Ben Rortvedt took his first Dodger at-bat, and it was as bad as any at-bat could possibly be. So, I still would rather have Dalton Rushing up there without a doubt.
Uh-oh, we might have lost Jeff here.
I think so. That stumbled me in the middle of the point there.
Oh,
I think we're back.
Back.
Dang. People are going to accuse me in the chat of just, I'm sorry, guys, my internet's out. We gotta take off on this post-game show. Bruce, sorry. I lost you right in the middle of rushing is better than Ben. Did I miss anything important there?
You got the gist.
Okay, perfect.
I will point out, look, yes, nothing was guaranteed with Dalton rushing, but he did have their first hit off of Paul Skeens tonight.
Yeah. I mean, could have run a little faster out of the box, but you know.
So for what? To be stranded at third base instead of second base?
He was bailed out. He was bailed out. Matt, we need you to evaluate Dr. V here. He says, Dave Robert post-game, quote, I like the way it was coming out of his hand, trending in the right direction. Swing path looked good. Good swings, got to be better. Any notes here? Good swings. He might not have said good swings tonight.
Yeah, I think the only thing you're missing is we need a little bit more compete in there. He liked the fight.
It is what it is, maybe? Do we get one of those tonight?
Not from Dave. From Dave. That's a 50 special there. A little bit more compete, a little bit more of I like the fight late in the game, and we're in a good spot heading into Baltimore.
Yeah, we like where we're at. Shelley does say the fight at the end gives me hope. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. You might be drinking other things too, Shelley. Hard to say here. But look, I'll buy that. I'll buy a little optimism. Mookie goes yard. Conforto 2 hits. Don't say I didn't tell you so. You know, I'm just kidding. Easy, people. Relax in the comments, okay? I mean, look, it's the same thing like the Ben versus rushing thing. Scoring 3 runs in the 9th and putting 2 runners on is better than getting shut out. We can agree on that. I'm not saying it's like pencil us in for a win, but like I would much rather have come on this show losing 5-3 with 2 guys on, getting to blame a guy named Ben, than I would like had they got shut out. So, I mean, at least we've got that. I sense, Matt, I'll start with you. Like any hope? Like, did we go from 0% to 1? Did we go 1% in the right direction in the 9th inning or 0%?
I will look, as the game was going on, I did think like the Dodgers they do need somebody to just run into one here. I didn't necessarily like, I thought if it came in the 6th or 7th inning where, you know,
nice.
like not necessarily the 9th. So I can see something to it. I don't trust what we've seen from this team for it to really be like anything substantial or significant.
Yeah, I'm with you. Bruce, any solace from that 9th inning?
It's not meaningless because it shows that, you know, they're still out there competing and taking quality at bats and, you know, going out and fighting all those things. But it doesn't change anything in my head in terms of how frustrating the stretch of baseball is. It doesn't change how pessimistic I'm currently feeling heading into Baltimore. And because 1 9th inning doesn't change that. Fabian Ardaya tweeted it in his post game that it was 19 in the final 20 innings of the series that the Dodgers didn't score a run. And going out there in what felt like garbage time and putting together a little rally doesn't change that. That's a lot of baseball that the Dodgers were playing very, very poorly. And so the taste in my mouth is just the same.
See, but Bruce, you're missing that in the final 3.5 innings of the series, the Dodgers outscored them 3-0. So, like, those are the most recent 3.5 innings, too. You're talking about the ancient history. I'm talking about recency and what we just saw, and 3-0. I mean, if you project that out over the final 25 games, it's like 1,000,000-0. The Dodgers are going to outscore their opponents. So, Matt, don't worry. I'm going to do the math for you tonight, Matt.
Thank
so
you.
You don't have to do that.
Thank you.
I like Jedi Engineer here. It's been a goofy season to be sure. Nights like tonight, I got to pull up Vin's farewell speech. Tomorrow is a new day, and after that, a new year. You had me till New Year. We're winning the division. I know it's bad. I know we're all depressed because of how bad the hitting is. But, like, at least they're still winning the division. At least they're still going to make the playoffs as of today. If the Giants catch them and they miss out on the wild card, like, trust me, I'll be the first one to come on here and cry real tears. Okay. But like, until we get to there, let's keep it positive. Padres burner. We appreciate the $2. This is Sasaki eating good sushi in Oklahoma. Sweep clown. Thank you. We appreciate the $2. Alicia, we appreciate the super chat. If you want to leave a question or a comment, throw that in the chat and we will throw that up if you meant to include some text on there. Aaron, I can't say I'm going to enjoy watching this group champagne party an 88-90 win season when they do clinch a playoff berth. Matt, this feels like it could have come straight out of a text message from you. Am I wrong here?
Yes, you're wrong. Leave it at that.
You're going to enjoy the 88-90 win champagne party?
I cover the team. I'm a neutral party.
Oh, come on. You're on a show called DodgerHeads. Bruce, are you going to enjoy the champagne party?
If they are able to win the division, then they will have still accomplished something meaningful in a very tough year. So I'm not going to enjoy it, but they can.
Yeah, the champagne party could be accompanied by Padres tears. Keep that in mind. So The sandwich. The Dodgers look old, a grim reminder of our true window of opportunity. Our firepower consists of guys on the wrong side of 30, not to take away from the big three or Muncy, etc. It is the big three that are getting older.
That whole comment is taking away from the big three. And then,
with all due respect, it's Mookie and Freddie Freeman. If anybody has looked old this year, it's those two guys. Although Freddie has continued to hit. Yeah, I mean, Matt, like, where are you at? Do you believe that the Dodgers window is closing here?
No, and I don't think like Freddie Free. I think it's just been a weird year for everybody. Mookie Betts, there's a long list of things that have happened with him that I think can sort of explain what he's gone through. Freddie Freeman has shown stretches where he looks to be back on the upswing. Shohei Ohtani, same thing. Like we've seen him go through kind of these slumps before. Max Muncy, I mean, if you want to look at like recent, like last year he was hurt, stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. Like the knee thing was a little bit of a fluke. If you want to be worried about the side oblique things, like that's certainly understandable. I don't think that we went from the Dodgers winning the World Series last year to all of a sudden like their window is closed this year. Is it a little bit smaller just because they're a year older? Sure. They've been playing a lot of baseball. Even if you go back to, if you like, you want to go back to the Seoul series last year, like, sure, the window's a little bit smaller, but I don't think it's shut. And even if they do fall short this year, I don't think it's going to be completely closed on them next year by any means. It'll be a little bit less open the way it is this year compared to last season. And that's with any team. And I think, again, it sounds crazy and I know people don't want to hear it, but the reality is the Dodgers still do have enough talent and it is a lot of ifs. They are big ifs. If stuff clicks, like they can win a World Series.
There we go, Moreno. Now you're speaking my language there. Bruce, I think it's fair. The question of looking at the core of this team, and yes, Ohtani is a unicorn who doesn't belong in the same age bracket necessarily conversation because of the position he plays, designated hitter, and because the performance just in all reality has not dipped off offensively or on the mound. Freddie Freeman, again, is it injuries? Is it aging? Mookie Betts, I think there's a case to be made. We're seeing a different version of Mookie Betts, and the old version might not ever be coming back. Muncy, when he was right, seemed to be as good, if not better, than he's ever been. So it's a complicated question when you talk about the window of this group. Now, the window of like a team built around Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman might be closing, but the window of the Dodgers organization, those to me feel like two separate conversations.
Yeah, that last point was exactly what I was ready to open with. I don't think the Dodgers window is closing. I think that the group, I don't want to put it in a big three group of Ohtani, Mookie, Freddie, because Ohtani's window is, Ohtani has 8 more years left and he's going to be good for all of them. I'm not worried about him in the slightest. Mookie and Freddie, I think you can certainly be a little bit worried about what you've seen this year, but I still, Freddie is a couple years away from free agency, and it's not like that he's expected to be around for another decade. Like Freddie Freeman's an older dude, and he's still been solid this year. I don't think Freddie Freeman is the reason the Dodgers aren't the best team of all time, like they were projected practically to be heading into the season. I also think that Mookie Betts has started to look a lot more like Mookie Betts these last couple of weeks, and I'm not all that worried about Mookie Betts moving into next year. I don't think that it's like at a point where he's going to be a deadweight contract that they need to find a way to get rid of. Like Mookie Betts is still going to be one of the top contributors of this team. So I don't think that window is closing. And I don't know. I'm more focused on the present because, like you said, Jeff, I'm not worried about the Dodgers not competing. The Dodgers are built in a way and they operate in a way that they're going to always be competing, whether it's with these guys or once the next era comes around.
And can we should be fair to Freddie Freeman. Here's two guys who he is currently tied with for weighted runs created plus this season: Corbin Carroll and Kyle Tucker. So before we put Freddie Freeman in the grave, maybe we could just pause as a group. And I'm saying this as a guy who mentioned him getting older. Like he's literally tied for 12th in all of Major League Baseball in weighted runs created plus. He is one of the 15 to 20 best hitters in the league. He could, the batting title is, I would say, unlikely at this point based on the guys ahead of him. But I mean, he's 5 points behind Trey Turner for the batting title. So let's not put him in the grave and in the same category as Mookie Betts, who's having the worst year of his career. I think is
also real quick, if you're worried about like age of the team and youth and things of that nature, I'd like to remind people that Roki Sasaki is very young. Bobby Miller is still pretty young, so there is a future there with the Dodgers.
Yeah, Matt said it. Please, that's going to be the clip right there. Lieutenant LTTE Beaches. Resting Rushing, who's a rookie playing 45 games, is on par with the country club atmosphere Robert has cultivated. Rest, it's go time. Yeah, we agree. I'm not sure we'd agree with the country club atmosphere that Roberts has created, but we agree with you that resting Rushing, and that is the explanation, is insane in a number of ways. The Dachshund dude says, screw rehab for Muncy and Edman. Bring them up ASAP. Matt?
I thought about this a little bit, at least not Muncy. I mean, Muncy just started his rehab assignment tonight. Edmonds played in, I think, 3 games now. Like, part of me did think, like, do you get him to Baltimore for Saturday, Sunday? But, I mean, that would be, like, that would go so against the grain with how the Dodgers really operate in terms of, like, panicking and having him fly. I guess not quite cross-country because he's with Oklahoma City. But, look, at this point, it's 3 more games. And, yet, like, sure, if they get swept, like it would be uglier in here, and it would obviously impact the standings. But I don't see them making kind of a knee-jerk reaction, because also with Edmonds specifically, you can't you have to still make sure his ankle can withstand playing these games. Like you don't want him to have any sort of setback.
The rehab of those 2 guys is being determined by the medical staff and has absolutely nothing to do with what the big league team is doing. So the idea of bringing either of those guys back up on a different timeline from what the medical staff has determined that they're on is playing around with not having them in the playoffs. And that is a much more important thing than getting them to Baltimore for this weekend only.
I'm sure Bruce knows the answer to this, so I'm just going to ask Matt to start with. The Dodgers AAA team is currently playing a team called Sugarland, the Sugarland Space Cowboys. Do you know what city and what state that is in?
Texas.
Wow, nailed it. Good for you. I was going to guess Alabama, so you're a smarter man than me. So I don't know what the flight schedule from Sugarland to Baltimore is, so we'll get IT on that one. Alicia, who had a super chat earlier, was Kirby's strikeout a lucky outing, or did he fix his splitter? Was the question here. Kirby Yates, who I don't need to tell anybody has not been good. A perfect inning, 3 strikeouts, 14 pitches, and 11 of them for strikes. I will say this, looking at some of the breakdown stuff, there is nothing obvious that jumps out off the page as far as breakdown goes. Like, velocity was down on both his pitches. Spin numbers were basically slightly up, but not enough to seemingly like make that much of a difference. Vertical break, horizontal break. Like, I mean, I guess the splitter had more vertical break and less horizontal break. So maybe there's something there. I'm not enough of an expert to like decipher all those numbers, but I guess I'll just say it was better than nothing. Like, I was glad to see Kirby Yates have a perfect inning. So Bruce, I'm not ready to like pencil Kirby Yates back into my postseason rotation, but again, better than him sucking tonight.
Yeah, he looked better, and I'm still watching him very closely to see whether he can show some flashes of the Kirby Yates of last year and before that. And I think in terms of the pitch shapes, like I haven't felt that his pitch shapes have been the problem throughout the year. It's more been a command of the splitter, especially when he really went out the door. It was because he couldn't throw the splitter for a strike at all, and he needs to be able to. So that part was better tonight. Like you said, 11 for 14 strikes is the thing that jumps out to me more than looking at pitch shapes as a positive outing.
Yeah, 6 whiffs on 9 swings is a great number. Ironically, you mentioned the splitter command. He threw 5 splitters tonight, I believe. 5 splitters, not a single one of them was in the zone. So
I think that for him, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the zone. It has to be competitive and be able to play off of the fastball, because his fastball isn't good enough to stand alone. And the point that it had gotten to was hitters saw wrinkle, they saw the splitter and just knew they wouldn't swing at it at all. If that splitter is at least close to the zone, then that allows the entire arsenal to work. So that's the thing he needs to do.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Ivan says, and Bruce, I'm coming right back to you. Is Kyle Hurt going to play and make an impact? One of your bold predictions was that this was a postseason bullpen guy, potentially. Has made at least 1 or 2 rehab appearances for Oklahoma City. What do you think? Like, are you buying into Kyle Hurt as having a potential role here?
I'm not putting the keys of the team in his hands. The timeline has moved a little bit slower than I had hoped it would when I originally made that statement when he was already throwing in Arizona. It's gone a little bit slower for him to just be getting to Oklahoma City around the beginning of September. But I still think that it's absolutely a possibility that if he gets down there, and if I put it in a Twitter reply that you were in the thread the other day, Jeff, that Kyle Hurt, I think before he got hurt, I was prepared for him to be a regular mainstay in this bullpen moving forward. And I think if he hadn't got hurt, he would be a guy that you're not even wondering if he's on the postseason roster right now. He would be a for sure part of the Dodger bullpen. So I think if the stuff is still where it was at, if his command is still playable like it had gotten to be before he got hurt, those are the two things. If he's throwing strikes and if the stuff is still where it was at, then he's a guy that can get outs in the big leagues.
Yeah, there you go. Has only made one appearance. That was 2 days ago. Oklahoma City is currently playing in the bottom of the 5th now. So keep eyes out. There's a possibility that maybe he would get into a game tonight. Jedi Engineer, I was really hoping Kim's flyout was a liner that dropped in. That would have been cinema. Unfortunately, it was not. This does lead us, by the way, shout out to the 2,000 people in here with us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We appreciate you. We know these days and nights are not easy ones to be Dodgers fans. So we appreciate everyone hopping in as well as via podcast. So,
and the Padres fans who've joined us for this live show for some reason.
Yeah, a couple have had to be booted, but we appreciate their money and we appreciate their time. Thank you to all the podcast people, Apple, Spotify, and Google as well. Speaking of Hyeseong Kim, he gets the start tonight, something that people have been clamoring for. And the reason he got the start is because the Dodgers needed to add a third catcher. We're just calling him Ben at this point. Ben was brought up to the team. Alexis Diaz, my guy Alexis Diaz DFA'd. There were no tears shed in the Spiegel household. Good riddance. Enjoy the rest of your career, Mr. Diaz. But Alex Freeland was sent down, which is, I don't know. I guess I'll ask you, Bruce, was this an interesting decision to you that Freeland was the guy who gets sent down and not Kim or somebody else?
It indicates to me that they were prepared for Freeland to lose his playing time, like in short notice, whether that's Muncy getting back, if they were literally ready to say that Kim was going to get starts instead of Freeland. Either way, I think it was a clear indication that Alex Freeland was not going to be getting playing time here shortly. And so when they needed Rortvedt up, they sent him down. I think you can immediately draw the connection to having 3 catchers on the roster. And obviously it's a good thing that they didn't have to IL Will Smith, but that immediately came back to bite them here with Rortvedt having to take that at bat and having the short bench. So, but yeah, going back to Freeland, it means that they didn't see him playing and he's going to go back down to AAA. And that was always going to be the way that it went. If Freeland wasn't going to be starting consistently in the big leagues, then he wasn't going to be up here.
Yeah. Matt, what did you make of this move? Were you surprised at all that this is the route that the Dodgers went?
I was a little surprised that it wasn't Dean, just because I thought maybe whether Dean or Freeland, they're probably going to be short on time with the Dodgers, considering Edman and Muncy are on the way days away from coming back. So I thought maybe they would keep Freeland just like for the little bit more of the upside. But I mean, it could be, hey, like if both guys are going down in the next few days anyway, send Freeland now, let him go back to Oklahoma City, kind of start getting regular at bats again type thing. So that was the only sort of aspect of it that surprised me a little bit. But other than that, not too much.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You sort of forget when they expand roster just how many extra bodies they have. And with Dean, you're kind of looking at him and saying like, okay, well, Hyeseong Kim is right there. Like, do we need both of these guys? Of course, Dean comes in and pinch runs in the 9th because Kim was starting. So maybe. But I think the point that you made, Matt, that maybe stands out to me the most is Freeland getting regular at bats. Like if he's struggling offensively, which he is for everybody to see, the numbers have not been good. The only way out of that is not to be the 14th guy on the Dodgers bench, right, Bruce? It's for him to go down to Oklahoma City, maybe to get regular at bats, maybe to find a rhythm or a groove. And who knows, maybe he finds his way back up at the major league level at some point. But that's kind of my ultimate question. Do you think, Bruce, we have seen the last of Alex Freeland in Los Angeles this year, knowing the guys that are going to come back and the roster crunch that will come with them?
If everybody stays healthy, then I think that's probable because they're not going to bring him back up if he's not going to be playing. I think that Freeland is that exact sort of prospect right now that he has a cup of coffee in the big leagues now. It hasn't gone particularly well. I wouldn't say that it's been a complete failure, but he hasn't found consistency. And especially like these last week or so, the at-bats have, it seems like the big league pitchers have figured him out a little bit. So that's kind of a perfect time to segue, send him back to AAA, make the adjustments that need to be made now that he's had one chance and down in AAA. Hopefully he can get back into his regular rhythm, and then he'll be ready if an injury happens to come back up. But I've talked with both of you guys in the last couple of weeks on this show that I think Freeland is a good option if the Dodgers need an infielder to start. But coming off the bench, he doesn't have the wheels that Hyeseong Kim has, so he would kind of be more of a defensive specialist only, and he's also just got the profile and prospect, hopeful future as a starter, that he's not a guy that you want to pencil into a bench spot and potentially lose any development in September.
Matt, where are you at confidence level on Hyeseong Kim? Because my mentions will tell you there are a lot of Dodger fans that believe in this guy, and they've been given some reason to believe in him and maybe some reasons not to believe in him. And I think it's one of those, as I've said, the Freeland Kim thing feels like, pick your stats, pick your narrative, and you could prove whatever you would like to prove with these two guys. So Kim is the guy, though, that they've said Freeland had his chance and he did not take advantage of it. Now Kim is going to get his chance, at least for a few more days until Muncy and Edman come back, and then he might not get any more chances. But what did you see anything tonight that makes you believe that there is like an upgrade? He's an upgrade offensively, defensively over Freeland, or do you think like, tomato, kind of at the end of the day, same?
Yeah, I think they were pretty similar. I did have Kim ahead of Freeland, mainly for roster fit purposes and what I thought like the opportunities were really going to be with the Dodgers. And so I think Kim, look, if he can kind of get back to the production we saw, I mean, I don't think he's going to hit, 400 and be getting on base at such a high clip. Like that was probably unsustainable for anybody. It's not like, it's not a knock on him. It's just like, if it was easy to do, then more players would be doing it. I think if he's healthy, like he can certainly be an additive piece for the Dodgers. And I didn't see anything like necessarily specifically tonight to be like swayed one way or the other, but I think I can see what the Dodgers would sort of, be seeing in terms of if Kim gets back to, before kind of the show. Although, look, I know once the shoulder injury set in, like he really wanted to slide, but his decline, like if you look back, it started when he really started playing every day, which everybody wanted. And kind of the more regular playing time he got, it was like pitchers sort of figured him out, this and that. Like that's when his decline sort of, the drop off in production sort of began. But I still do think he can be a certainly useful and productive player for the Dodgers.
Can I add one thing, Jeff?
Please.
Yeah, I think Hyeseong Kim is going to be on the Dodger roster the rest of the year, a lot for the reasons that Matt just said of the roster fit. I think that by the time you get to Monday, if they're ready to bring Muncy and Edman back, you'll be 4 days into the Will Smith on the bench thing. And if he's not ready to be back by then they might as well just throw him on the IL for like 5 more days and retroactively free up that roster spot. I think that Kim, as soon as everybody else is back, he can easily slide into the role that Dean has been in. And I don't think that you're all that worried about it in terms of, like I just talked about with Freeland, wanting to get him down there in Oklahoma City, getting those at-bats. Hyeseong Kim is in a different stage of his development as a player. So Hyeseong Kim contributing in the big leagues is not going to like throw on the brakes on his development the same way it could with Freeland. So I think Kim has a safe roster spot as it stands right now through the rest of September. I don't know about the playoffs, but I think he'll have a good chance there too, just because of the speed.
Yeah, I'm with you. The thing to watch for Kim, the 3 things that have been kind of the difference between when he was a massively impactful player and when he was struggling were striking out, walking, and extra base hits. Like if he goes 0 for 3 in those 3 categories, which is what happened the last month, as Matt pointed out, a couple weeks, then he gets injured, kept playing for a couple more weeks, and it wasn't pretty. But if he can go even 1 for 3, like if it's just putting the ball in play more often, if it's a couple extra base hits here or there, or even walking more than I think he's at 4% this year, which is a terrible number. Like if one of those 3 things can change for Hyeseong Kim, it would be a game changer. So the Dodgers are hoping for it. And again, as we've said, I think Freeland had been given a chance to take that spot and had not given them a good enough reason to say no. Up until this point. So we mentioned it in passing, but there was good news on Will Smith, not expected to go on the injured list at any point this year. Our guy Ben added to the roster as a result of this. But x-rays were negative on Will Smith's hand. If you missed the play yesterday, it was a foul tip that basically deflected perfectly off of the flat of the back of his hand, which looked awful. Like I don't how that doesn't break a hand is completely beyond me. Like, but kudos to catchers and hands that are made of steel, I guess. So I believe, Matt, they've said kind of not really expected to play through the weekend. Is that fair? Right? Dalton Rushing's going to start Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes, and I guess I don't know about Rushing starting necessarily, but
Okay.
like the expectation is Smith probably won't be playing this weekend. I'll also add like what Dave Roberts said about, at least, and I hopped on with you guys, so I'll go back and watch like the video, and it's fully from like I don't want to use this term, but PTSD for lack of a better term with Dodger injuries. Like to hear Dave Roberts say, "Oh, the CT scan didn't really show anything. We need to," it's like, well, did it show something that you guys are like sort of concerned about, but you're not going to reveal? I hope that, like, because I feel like he would have said, if there wasn't anything, like, oh, like it came back negative, basically nothing new, just some swelling. But the way it was, and again, it could be me just reading into this because of all, the Dodgers have a long list of funny injury updates. But yes, I mean, it signs at least are pointing to disaster averted. Will Smith will be out. Maybe he pinch hits one of these 3 games coming up, but not expected to start. And then, we'll see on Monday. If Muncy or Edman are ready on Monday and the Dodgers decide to put Smith on the injured list, that'll answer the question for us.
Do you know, just out of curiosity, if heaven forbid Will Smith is out for an extended period of time and Ben is not the answer, do you know of anybody, Matt, who's available, who might be interested in potentially some familiarity and potentially coming in? Maybe they appeal to have him added to the postseason eligibility. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody out there.
The biggest problem is, they discarded they threw their captain off the ship, and now they'd be potentially bringing him back too late. He wouldn't be eligible for the postseason. So maybe he helps you win the division, maybe get a top 2 seed in the National League. But then once October baseball rolled around, he would be unfortunately back to sitting on the bench. And Jeff, I don't know if you happen to see, but your mic is muted. Just when I didn't want you to turn and start talking, and then
thank you.
We didn't hear you.
We're back. Yes, you would have to appeal if the player was in the organization prior to September. So this is a great point by you, Austin Barnes. Unfortunate for him. Alex Call, we did find out, was the emergency catcher. Is that right? Was that information? I believe somebody sent me that Alex Call he would have been the 3rd catcher yesterday or I guess after Rushing. Somebody texted me that, so somebody in the chat can verify that or not. We speculated who Kike. We just assumed it would be Kike. He's the emergency, everything else, right?
Yeah.
Bruce, go ahead, Bruce.
Hasn't it normally been Muncy that has been emergency catcher in the past?
Although I think we've crossed the age threshold where, please, for the love of God, don't put Muncy there. I mean, we're not going to need this. We're all saying this. Is there a catcher anywhere in the organization, Bruce, that if this is, DEFCON 1 in worst case scenario, and Ben is there because they can DFA Ben tomorrow and send him packing and nobody will miss him. But is there anybody else in the organization? Chris Hockey? I mean, is he still there? I don't even know who they have.
Nobody with big league time that would jump Rortvedt and be better. So the answer is no. If Will Smith were to not be around, then it would be somebody that you don't want, and that's the short of it.
Okay, yeah, Carlos.
I mean, also the reality.
Robinson, the 3 catchers on Oklahoma City's roster, by the way.
The reality is, Dalton Rushing would just start every playoff game, and so that you would just Will Smith is going to start it. I know that they manage his workload, and he basically doesn't start 3 days in a row right now. But once they get into the playoffs, I mean, there are off days for traveling. It would have to be the NLCS, I guess, once you play the 3 games in a row, as part of the 2-3-2 format. But Will Smith, Dalton, the backup catcher wouldn't necessarily matter that much.
Yeah. All right. We have one more question here from 300. Aren't rosters given a few more spots after 9-1? Yes, the Dodgers were able to add 1 pitcher and 1 hitter. That was Michael Kopech and Hyeseong Kim were the 2 that were called up. So they are now at 26 man is the normal number. They're 28 after September 1st. To go back to the postseason, it does have to be back down to 26 for those that are interested. So one other news note here, Matt. We know Shohei Ohtani was, I I don't know if scratched was the right word for his start yesterday. Was supposed to start pitching, did not. It was because of sickness, under the weather, I believe was the language Dave Roberts made. Have we gotten any clarification on what this means for him moving forward on the pitching side of things?
Yeah, so initially it seemed like they were pushing him back to this weekend and sort of start against the Orioles. And when they said that, I thought, oh, like he's probably going to start Sunday, which then is going to push Clayton Kershaw back. And one sort of downside to that is Kershaw hasn't faced the Orioles in his career. It has now been decided that Ohtani, I don't think like related. I'm just pointing that out. Ohtani's now
like you're saying Kershaw has pitched in all these different stadiums, but Baltimore is one of the stadiums he has not pitched in yet.
And he also just hasn't faced the Orioles even at Dodger Stadium. So I was like, for me personally, like, oh man, like that's kind of a cool stat. Like, not that this influenced like their decision making by any means, but it has now been updated to the plan for Ohtani is to start on Monday. So Kershaw is starting the Sunday game against the Orioles. That'll be the end of the Dodgers road trip. And so the probables for this weekend now are Tyler Glasnow on Friday, Yoshinobu Yamamoto on Saturday, Kershaw, the biggest news of it, 4 days rest on Sunday, and then Ohtani on Monday.
Okay, there you go. Cole with the super chat. Dodgers went from lots of catchers to hey, is the kid from the Sandlot available? Yeah, Diego Cartaya, is he anywhere? Can we find him somewhere, Bruce? I mean, Ben Rortvedt or Cartaya? Who do you want there?
Last I saw, Cartaya signed a minor league deal with the Giants, so he was in there with Austin Barnes in Arizona in the Dodger Outcast Academy for a while.
Matt, do you want to comment on that it's Diego Cartaya stealing Austin Barnes' job in the minor league system for the Giants, or do you want to let that one sit there?
I'll let that one go.
Okay, I just want to check. All right, let's get to some questions. All caps questions here. Again, bad news tonight. The Dodgers swept by the Pirates. Did outscore them over the final 3.5 innings, let the record show. A weird decision by Dave Roberts at the heart of it. We could just do a quick recap. I guess we haven't talked Blake Snell, so I'll mention him briefly. The final line for Snell, 5 innings, 9 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. The Pirates left runners on first and third in the first. They left the bases loaded in the second. In the bottom of the third, single, wild pitch, should have been a pass ball. 2-strike single for Tommy Pham is how the Pirates scored their first run. And then in the fifth, as if luck wasn't bad enough for Snell, 3 consecutive ground ball singles makes it 2-0. They intentionally walk Andrew McCutchen to load the bases. A fellow by the name of Nick York had a 2-run double down the left field line on the first pitch after the intentional walk. And then an RBI ground out with the infield pulled in. I mean, like if I'm Blake Snell, I have to be putting my head through a wall to say single, wild pitch, single, scores a run, 3 straight count balls, scores a run, a double after we intentionally walk a guy to score 2 more. And then we pull the infield in, Freddie Freeman fields the ball, and we don't get anybody out. So that's Snell's line. Matt, to me, I will just say it felt better than the box score ultimately looks for Blake Snell. 9 hits is ugly, 5 earned is ugly. I didn't leave this game feeling like Snell was terrible, even though the box score said otherwise. Am I crazy?
Not terrible. So, you're not crazy because I don't think he was terrible. I think there were some moments where he wasn't good. And that obviously ended up dooming it. But look, I mean, the reality isn't, I guess the Dodgers, they weren't shut out. So can't say that even if he just gave up the 1 or 2 runs before the 5th inning, I think that everything started to get away from him.
Yeah. All 5 runs by the end of the 5th.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was all right. It happens, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the flip side to everything I just said is they did strand runners at first and third and then load the bases in the first and second inning and scored none. So maybe he got lucky in the first 2 innings and unlucky in the next 3 innings, but the final line there for Blake Snell is as stands. Again, the Dodgers rally a little bit in the 9th inning. They end up scoring 3 runs. They put together a few hits. Teoscar Hernandez, Michael Conforto, Miguel Rojas, all chipping in there at the end of this one. But Ben Rortvedt was the one that ended up after a Mookie Betts home run. But Ben Rortvedt struck out swinging on a pitch that wasn't close, to say the least. So let's get to some questions. All caps questions. Shout out to our guy, Manuel. Just in time for the food segment. We're glad you're here, Manuel. Unfortunately, you're going to have to sit through a couple baseball questions first, I think, and then we will adhere to your wishes, as you say, and talk takeout food or whatever you would like. JY, referring to Kershaw, asked, is it normal that veterans with long careers like Kershaw would have faced all 30 teams in all stadiums by now? The first thing I'll say is are we in year 1 or year 2, Matt, of them playing every single team in baseball every year?
3, 4?
I think it's year 3. It's definitely at least year 2.
Okay. I'll start over and sound less stupid. They have not always played every team every single year. So it used to be when interleague play started, which was before Kershaw, you would play one division from the other team. So basically it would be very random. Those are 3 or 4 game series, 5-man rotation. Are you healthy? Lots of moving pieces. So I would say it's not surprising Kershaw hasn't played every single team. It is definitely not surprising he has not pitched in every stadium, because then you only go to those stadiums now once every 2 years. Obviously, Kershaw's been hurt for a lot of that. So that was kind of a lot of word salad, but the answer is no, it's not surprising he hasn't faced everybody.
And this is year 3. It started in 2023.
There you go. Says, how much are the Dodgers Ohtani dependent? Touch wood. Have the Dodgers got much too comfortable by buying in the punting game mentality while also saying the floor of the roster is high? Sorry, I'm not sure I followed the last part of this. Bruce, are the Dodgers too Ohtani dependent?
No, because I'm trying to get on board here too. The Dodger roster is built to be Ohtani dependent because Shohei Ohtani is the most valuable player in baseball. So I think the idea here is to say that there's not a good enough supporting cast. I think that you could make an argument for, especially in the lineup, that the rest of the lineup isn't quite pulling the weight as much as at least I thought they would be at this point in the year. And that's where I already mentioned Teoscar Hernandez earlier in the show, Michael Conforto. There's a lot of the guys in the depth of the lineup that heading into the season, when there were projections of, are the Dodgers going to win, set the new single season win record, and all those discussions that were absolutely being had. And there were much higher expectations for the supporting cast. So I guess in that, if you attack it that way, then maybe you could say that.
Joe wants to know, Matt, if Roberts moved Ohtani to the 3rd spot in the order, would we win more games?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I guess maybe like
Freddie Freeman, who's hitting 3rd for what it's worth, has a higher batting average than Shohei Ohtani does. So
yeah,
I mean batting average isn't everything, but for context.
The only thing I'm thinking is like, maybe does Ohtani have like a 2-run homer or 3-run homer instead of a solo homer in a game that they lost 2-1?
Yeah.
And so do they sure, but is it the solution that like, okay, great, if the Dodgers have 3 more wins type thing, like that's not the solution for this team right now.
And if you're getting 1 or 2 more, maybe a little more than that, if you're getting a few more RBI for Ohtani by moving him to 3rd, how many at-bats are you losing? Moving Ohtani is not the way that the Dodgers fix their problems by any means.
Jose, I appreciate you. I'm going to read your question. I want you to know I hate this question before I read it out loud. What do you think is a better outcome? Neither, Jose. Missing the playoffs entirely or making the wild card and losing, asking mainly the fallout or the results of either. The worst outcome to me is clearly, Matt, not making the playoffs, because there is a world where you at least win the division, you beat the Padres, you beat the Giants, and you make the playoffs. And then I can sit here and say it's the randomness of playoff baseball. At least part of me can believe that. That is clearly the worst of these two, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you need to give yourself the opportunity to play in the playoffs over. Even like there's no guarantee. I get the thought process behind this question from Jose, but there's no guarantee. Like you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. And it's why, I never understood LeBron several years ago said like he would rather just not make the playoffs instead of losing in the finals. Cause I thought like, give yourself a chance. Like don't have such a defeatist mentality, but that's neither here nor there. This is a baseball show.
Yeah. You know who wouldn't have said that, Matt?
Definitely. I know a couple players that wouldn't have said something like that.
A lot. BL, why would anyone be surprised about our situational hitting when our winning percentage in extras since the inception of the Ghost Runner is a horrific 375? Great.
Is that a true? I wonder if that's a true stat. I know that the Dodgers haven't been great in extras, so like it feels right. I just wonder if BL, if you did some if you did, like props to you.
Kudos to you. Back to back. Is it irrational to think that this time we'll just flip a switch when Edman, Muncy, and the 1A lineup is in place and everyone is back? I hope it's not entirely irrational, because I'm definitely convincing myself that this is the case back to back. So, Bruce, how irrational is this?
I don't think it's irrational to hope. The thing that I'm worried about and why I kind of am feeling more pessimistic now than I ever have all year is because there has been that switch flipped feel when the Dodgers swept the Padres at home a couple of weeks ago. And then coming off of that, those 2 of 3 in San Diego, come back home and sweep the Reds. And both those felt like moments where the Dodgers looked like they were playing Dodger baseball again. And you hope that everybody's going to get back on the same page and that things are going to start to look right. And then it's immediately gone right back off the rails both times. So I just have lost a little bit of confidence in feeling like this team will get back to where they should be. And now I'm not quite sure where they should be.
Yeah. Matt, any part of you believing that Muncy and Edman is going to sort of be the smelling salts that this lineup needs?
Yeah, I went on the Dodgers territory today with Alana and Clinton. They did ask me about, flipping a switch type thing. And I flipping a switch is something that I think happens in sports and I think can be done. And Alana got on me, obviously like jokingly, but she got on me about it. But then I did say basically, to Bruce's point, I don't know if a team can be playing as poorly as the Dodgers have kind of for as long as they have all of a sudden flip a switch. Now, I will say I have sort of become kind of convinced that maybe internally, and players aren't going to admit this, and maybe it's subconsciously more than anything, but I wonder if they themselves are looking at it like not necessarily flipping a switch, but we do, to the question that we received that kind of prompted this. We, once Muncy and Edman come back, then we're going to be good and we'll get things going from there.
Yeah. I think Muncy, the stats with Muncy in the lineup versus out of the lineup are borderline inexplainable. And there's like reasons to understand it a little bit, but the difference that he makes is bizarre. Steven Nelson joked tonight that he should be getting MVP votes for the way that this team looks when he is out of the lineup. We've joked similarly on this show. And so I'm not convinced that things are automatically going to get better. Like, don't worry. But I do think there's reason to believe that it's going to get better. And then the question is like, how much better does it need to get offensively for this to make a difference? I don't think this team needs to do a 180 offensively and be totally different. Like if they just improve 20%, 30% offensively, I think that's enough to make the difference for this group is where I stand. And again, Edman will be an upgrade over Kim, Freeland, Conforto. Muncy will be an upgrade as well. And so I think those are big things. It will move the lineup down. It will lengthen the lineup. It will put guys in places that they need to be. So obviously if Will Smith misses time, that would be the opposite. Let's see. Roger says, given the present outfield on the major league roster, do one of the young guys in the minors get fast track to where they could be up by the end of 2026? Bruce, the Dodgers have 4 huge prospects in the outfield: Quintero, DePaula, Hope, and Sirota. I believe all of them are below AA. Have any of them been promoted to AA yet?
No.
Okay, so none of them are even in AA yet. Are any of those guys? I mean, Sirota's a college dude at least. Like, could Sirota be fast-tracked over the next 12 months, do you think?
This all depends on the Dodgers' own development timeline, and the short answer is I don't think so, because the Dodgers still have an entire offseason here coming up that they're going to be able to plug holes with one-year guys if they need to. It's not the way the Dodgers operate to rush guys through the minor leagues or take them off of the timeline that they deem is most likely to produce the best result. That's how the Padres and the Angels operate, and it doesn't work pretty often. That's not how you do baseball dev. So the Dodgers have a stack of really talented guys in the lower minor leagues right now. I understand the hope for them to get fast-tracked, and the way that they would get fast-tracked is if they play so well that there's no reason to keep them at the level they're currently at, right? So if, let's say Zahir Hope heads up to AA next year on the opening day roster and puts up a 1.1 thousand OPS, and it's just impossible to keep him there for more than 2 months, then maybe he gets up to AAA for another 2 months, and then maybe he winds up debuting if he just plays so well that there's no way to keep him down. But it's not like that the Dodgers will intentionally put him on that path until he plays himself there. So they're careful. They'll continue to be careful, because if they're not careful, then you wind up ruining the prospect and you get nothing out of it. And that's not the way they operate.
Yeah. And it's worth pointing out, I mentioned Sirota, who, again, went to college. The rest of these guys were not drafted out of college, so they're younger than he is. He also hasn't played in a long time, and by this point, it seems like he might not play the rest of the season with some sort of knee injury that we've heard nothing about. So the guy that probably is the quote-unquote closest just from an age perspective is not close. So there we go. Parker asks, what are the chances we see Ryan Ward next year? I guess it depends on what he does in spring training. I would say, Bruce, Over under 95% chance that Ryan Ward is not in the Dodgers organization next year.
Over. He's gone, and I, for his sake, I'm glad that he'll be gone, because he's gonna become a minor league free agent. He's gonna go somewhere where he's gonna get a chance to compete for a big league job, and that's not going to be in LA. That ship has sailed. But Ryan Ward, I believe next year will be his age 28 season, and it's not going to be with the Dodgers because he's been here way too long and there hasn't been a chance.
Okay. Cole asks, 7 games with the Giants, who, by the way, have won 10 of their last 11. I didn't realize this until something pops up that they're like 4 games out of the wild card, and I'm like, geez Louise. What percent do you give the Giants as spoilers to knock the Dodgers out of first place in the West? I'm going 0%, Matt. This is the team that wakes them up. We're taking 6 out of 7 from the Giants. You heard it here first.
Well, I need to hear Bruce's answer because I bring the balance to our show. So Bruce has to answer, and then I'll bring the balance.
Yeah, I'm going 1% because it's statistically possible, but I don't.
Bring the balance, Matt.
The Giants have been a flaming ship. Like when we talk about what the Dodgers and the Padres have looked like this last week, the NL West as a whole has been like way below expectations this year. And the Giants, especially after early in the year, it looked like maybe they'd be in the group. Bob Melvin is getting chased out the door. There's that team is a train wreck right now. So I don't think that they're in a position to play spoiler.
10 out of their last 11, Bruce.
Okay, I stopped paying attention then because that team has not been good, and I'm still not worried.
Wait, so is this? Are we?
So if we're bringing balance here, the number better start with a 9 or a 10.
Are we interpreting this as like the Giants the Giants overtake the Dodgers for first place?
The Giants like beat them badly enough in a 7-game stretch to knock the Dodgers out of first.
And like the Padres maybe end up atop the NL West type thing. Like
Padres
it's not
or Giants, somebody other than the Dodgers. Yeah.
I mean, I will bring balance because the Dodgers are not playing well. It's about a 8% chance.
8%. I like it.
I just stopped scoreboard watching the Giants a long time ago because it has become a 2-horse race for a while now with the Dodgers and the Padres, and the Giants have not been in that group.
Again, I saw the tweet that like they've won $1 million in a row. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be honest. I had tuned them out. Hallelujah. Why does Pages refuse to take a walk on some of the ugliest balls in 3-2 counts? Is Conforting starting one game of the playoffs? Puke. Unless it's officially announced he is out, Roberts will play him. I do feel like Pages and Teoscar, I think I texted this to you, Matt. It does feel like they decide before the pitch, like I'm just swinging. Doesn't matter where it is. We're going to just find where the ball ends up, and we're going to try and put our bat on this. Some of the swing decisions, I think there was a count yesterday. Pages got into a 3-2 count, and he swung at like the next 6 pitches, and half of them were not in the strike zone. He fouled some of them off, ultimately struck out. But, man, there are some ugly at-bats at times from Pages, who had a decent approach early in the year. That's what surprises me.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it's just a little bit of a young player with Pages, maybe overeager, probably pressing a little bit. Like I'm sure. Look, like, and I know this didn't necessarily get brought up a whole lot tonight. Like, fans are frustrated and upset, and I get it. Like the players, all like, I can assure you, players are not going to the clubhouse kicking their feet up and saying, "Well, guys, we lost again today. Oh well, like big deal. Like, who cares?" Like they feel this. Like playing for the Dodgers, you feel it. So. I think with Pages, it could be a little bit of pressing. Conforto, look, I said, I don't know if Conforto, his roster, like we'll have a week from now.
Yeah.
We'll have a very good sense on Michael Conforto's outlook, role, future with the team. Because, you know, I guess I should preface it with we need to see what happens with Will Smith if he ends up on the injured list. But Muncy and Edman are coming back. And there's one clear, well, I guess there's 2 now. With Ben and Justin Dean being on the team. So, maybe we won't have clarity then.
Yeah. I thought you were just saying that's when his batting average is going to start with a 2 because the heater's about to begin. That's not what you were saying?
No, I'll leave that to you to make that claim, Jeff.
I didn't say that. that. Tran wants to know who is the solid contact hitter of the Dodgers. This isn't exactly what he's asking, but I'm going to ask you guys a trivia question. 150 plate appearances is the minimum here. Do you know which Dodger has the lowest strikeout rate, like the best strikeout rate? There are 11 hitters who have qualified 150 or more plate appearances. Which Dodger strikes out the least?
Rojas.
10th on the list. So Good guess. Good guess as in he's in second place.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking through. Where's Will Smith rank on the list?
He's 8th. So again, 11th is the best here. So 8th is like decent. Will Smith's 4th. It's not Will Smith, though.
Mookie Betts?
Mookie Betts. 10.1%, dramatically better than everybody else, by the way. 4% better than Rojas and 10.3% better than Will Smith. So fun fact there. Joe,
Some people will say Mookie's been saved by just switching to becoming a line drive hitter is what I've heard out there.
There are some people saying that. Why wouldn't Mookie take initiative and move himself to right, knowing this is for the benefit of the team? Joe, I'm not advising anybody to watch the Dodgers right now, but I would advise you to see if you can find some Mookie Betts at shortstop highlights, because he made another incredible play at shortstop today. And the right field thing is like the ultimate nonsense. So, but we appreciate you, Joe. Thanks for being here. Okay. We've got 3 food questions. We're going to go out on these. Jose has a great one. Compare the Dodgers season so far to a food. So we've got high expectations, fairly disappointing, still in position to accomplish some of their goals. That would be my, that's my preface here. Bruce, does something jump to mind? It looks like you're nodding here.
I think I've got an idea.
Okay.
Stay with me here. The first thing that comes to mind, ordering a Domino's pizza.
Okay,
because if you're really feeling like pizza, if you're really hungry and you're thinking this will fill all the needs, you order the pizza, it takes too long to get there, it's soggy, you're unfortunate when you take your first bite, you don't like it, but then it still winds up being pizza, so it gets the job done in the end.
Yeah, okay, I like it. Costco pizza, I think you can make a parallel there as well, but it doesn't fit the, best team money can buy kind of narrative either. So I was trying to think about that.
Costco pizza is too good for this comp. I'm a Costco pizza defender.
I like it. I'm with you. I'm a Domino's pizza defender. I'll defend just about anything. Matt, what do you got?
Can I just go a chain instead of specific food?
Sure.
BJ's.
Oh, this is crazy. So we're getting the Pizookie at the end is what you're telling me, though.
Sure. If that's how you want to interpret it, Jeff, go for it.
Matt predicting a World Series victory, chocolate chip Pizookie at the end of the meal. That's crazy.
Actually, in all seriousness, Shelly makes here. Let me throw it. Shelly says Cheesecake Factory. That is a good one. I've been disappointed with Cheesecake Factory the last few years. Bruce, the Domino's was another good one because I used to enjoy Domino's, and the last time I had it, it's been a little while now. I thought the same thing. Like, man, what happened here?
Cheesecake Factory is great because it's like you go in thinking I'm not saying it's a nice restaurant, okay, but it's more expensive than the average place that I operate. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have myself a nice meal. And then you look at the menu, you get the whole variety, international, maybe Cheesecake Factory International. We got Asian food, we got pasta, we got burgers, you got the whole spectrum here. And then you eat and it's like, it's never, you're like, I paid how much for this Cobb salad? And yet the floor is high. It's like, it was a Cobb salad. Like, you can't really screw that up that bad. The food was solid. So we're still making the playoffs here. So I think cheesecake, you could do worse than that.
I'm going to throw in, not relative to this answer, but just because we're sort of slandering some places, if you will. Panera. I went last night, had not been in a while. Their prices, which I had known, their prices are through the roof.
Crazy.
But the quality of the food that I received last night was awful. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, this isn't necessarily, like, it was bad. Like, I told my wife, I'm not coming back here.
I'll give you one more. I'm going to compare it to the first time that I ordered Wingstop delivered to my house. First of all, I don't think Wingstop is the greatest thing in the world, but I think Wingstop, I like wings. I like Wingstop. My hot take is I think their fries are good. People think that's a terrible take, but their fries are good. And so the first time I'm like, oh, I'm craving wings. I'm going to get some wings. I'm going to get some fries. They have Elite Ranch, maybe better than Red Robin even. But then it's delivery. And it gets there and the fries are just soggy. Bottom tier food to order delivered fries. Fries are soggy. And you're like, it's still buffalo wings. And it's like the floor of buffalo wings is not that bad. And the ranch is really good. So it kind of gets the job done, but it's disappointing expectations. So Wingstop delivered. That's my answer to this question. Manuel, if you've got any answers, let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's see. Dodgers, Raiders, everything. Matt, I know you're a local guy. Have you tried Buratino Pizza in Whittier?
No, I have not. I have not even heard of it, but I will look it up. Let me know. Give me a recommendation on maybe what's good there, and I'll see if it meets my palate profile.
I talked about this the other day. Matt, are you a burrata cheese guy?
Yeah, I've had it. It's good. My wife makes like a good pasta with it with burrata kind of as like the cheese mixed in with different I forget what kind of sauce, but it's pretty good.
Bruce, you ever had burrata?
I think so.
It's like a mozzarella cheese ball with, I don't know, what's in the middle? Like,
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
More cheese?
When you say it's like the mozzarella cheese ball, that sounds right. And I will eat cheese, and I will enjoy cheese.
Delicious. I grabbed it the other day, spread it over some bread, little tomato on top, olive oil, salt. Oof.
I'm trying to look up this pizza place, and I'm not seeing it unless oh, wait, no, here it is. Never mind. My apologies. I spelled it wrong.
Jason wants to know, have you ever enjoyed a pickle spear with your hot dogs? It's a very Canada thing. I don't know if he's talking about a pickle spear on hot dogs. I like pickle spears separate of hot dogs. I'm not a big pickle on a hot dog guy. That's my take. Bruce, anything?
Pickle on a hot dog works when it's a Tommy's chili dog because they put pickles on theirs, and that works great.
Okay, there you go. Matt, pickle on your hot dog?
No.
Okay, last question. Matty Man, Pop-Tart of choice for the panel. I would go to like a before and after school program growing up. This probably explains a lot about me. And my parents both worked. And so like we'd get dropped off at 6:30 in the morning before school. We'd hang out for like an hour and then they would drive us to school. And so all this is the setup to Pop-Tarts were like a very important part of my life because that's what this place served for breakfast. So I'm going to say two things. I'm a strawberry Pop-Tart guy through and through. And I think putting Pop-Tarts in a toaster is psychotic behavior. I want room temperature Pop-Tarts. I know what they're called. I know how they're designed to be eaten, allegedly. I think Pop-Tarts in a toaster is insane behavior. Give me strawberry, cold. That's what I got. Brown sugar, I think, is solid too. I'm not into the crazy flavors. So, yeah. Bruce?
Yeah, my easy answer is s'mores has always been my favorite Pop-Tart. I'm always s'mores. Like I will actively avoid other Pop-Tarts in favor of s'mores, and I always toast them. So I'm anti-Jeff in this answer.
Okay, s'mores and toasted. No, hard pass for me. Bruce and I would get along great because he could have all the s'mores. Matt?
I'm not touching any Pop-Tarts.
Such an elitist.
Not a fan at all.
Have you ever had one?
I'm pretty sure I did when I was a young kid, and I just didn't care for it, and I've never gone back.
Okay, there we go. Some people love my cold Pop-Tart take. Somebody said frozen Pop-Tarts, a frozen blueberry Pop-Tart. That's new. That sounds terrible. I'm going to be honest. Frozen? Sounds like it would hurt you to eat. So there you go. They like your s'mores take, Bruce. So I think you're starting to redeem yourself from some of your other food takes early on in your tenure. So yeah. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here on Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. That is Matthew Moreno. That is Bruce Kuntz. I am Jeff Spiegel. As always, check out DodgerBlue.com. Check out the YouTube page. Stay right here. Tons of content on here. We've got Unplugged that I believe is back tomorrow morning, right, Matt? 10 a.m. Yep. Dodger Heads Unplugged with Scott Gearman will be right here on this channel. So if you're not already subscribed, please do ring the notification bell. Dodger Blue 1958 on social media. I love this. Cole says if they made a fettuccine Pop-Tart, Matt would be all over it. True?
I'm not gonna say no.
Okay.
You would have my interest.
Oh, I don't know if I ever told you this. So I had fettuccine the other night, and I made some broccoli and threw it in the fettuccine, and I needed your position on this.
No, I mean I've tried to incorporate more like greens and stuff into my diet over the past couple of years. So I will eat broccoli like with my orange chicken now from Panda Express. I am not ruining my fettuccine Alfredo with broccoli or asparagus or anything like or chicken for that matter. I've told you guys like I just want my fettuccine, just the noodles.
I just want to pause real quick to note that Matt said I'm trying to like basically eat healthier. So when I eat Panda Express, I eat broccoli with my orange chicken. Fantastic.
Balance. It's balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Fettuccine chicken Alfredo with broccoli in it is a fantastic meal.
See, I'm with you. I grew up on the Marie Callender's frozen meals where it was exactly that fettuccine Alfredo with chicken and broccoli.
I would always throw out the fettuccine.
Oh my gosh. You would
not the fettuccine. No, sorry. I would throw out the broccoli with that.
Oh,
yeah.
So good. So good. Yeah, sorry. Aaron says, I like how Jeff says bye, but pauses to talk fettuccine Alfredo. We got plenty of ones here, okay? So, all right. That will officially do it for us tonight. Again, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Scott will be here. Dodger Heads Unplugged. Anthony and I will be back on Sunday to do a show as well. So enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. It's a tough one. Dodgers swept by the Pirates. But the good news, 2-game lead in the division still, and never, ever, ever, ever forget, at least for the next couple of months, that the Dodgers are still champs.